Hello Year 9, here is our fourth lesson from this strange home study situation we find ourselves in. I've tried to angle this laptop the best I can to not have any glare or reflection on the screen, but I'll read everything out on the slides and hopefully you should be able to see them properly. Okay, so our last word from last term was transgression. So what transgressions have the boys already committed during their time on the island? So you can pause the video and answer that question. And our new word of the day is demented. So how could the boys' increasingly demented behaviour be linked to the beast? If you need help with what demented means, demented is an adjective. It means behaving irrationally due to anger, distress or excitement. So when you behave irrationally because of something external like anger, being distressed, upset about something or excited. Okay, so again you can pause and just write that down. So we've got how could the boys' increasingly demented behaviour be linked to the beast? And then if you want to push your answer higher, sorry, it's my laptop being strange, go away. What message is Golding giving about humanity based on the boys' demented behaviour? So think back to Golding's intentions. Okay, what message is he giving about humanity through this increasingly demented behaviour of the boys? Okay, so again, pause the video and have a go at answering that question. So when we think about what transgressions the boys have already committed, well, they've committed manslaughter of the little boy with the strawberry birthmark on his face. He was burnt to death, only in chapter 2. So, all of the boys are culpable in that. They have been transgressing against, common sort of rules, law and order. Jack is very violent, he's hit Piggy several times. This sort of savage, brutal way, inhumane way that they've been killing the pigs. This idea that they've been sort of rebelling against Ralph's authority. So there's been lots of transgressions against the normal sort of rules of society. So how could the boys' increasingly demented behaviour be linked to the beast? Well, it's all caused by fear. And remember, the destructive power of fear is a real theme in this novel. So as they become more afraid, as there's more justification for the beast being real, so does their behaviour get increasingly more wild and savage and primal and demented. So what message could Golding be giving then? Fear makes monsters of us all. That is essentially what Golding is saying. Fear can turn even the most innocent child into a monster capable of massive pain and horror and destruction, which is of course his intentions in reading this book or writing the book. So our knowledge goal today is to analyse the way Golding presents Jack's character. Sorry, I don't know why there's an apostrophe there with presents. Let's just get rid of that because that's going to make me cringe. Okay, to analyse the way Golding presents Jack's character in chapter 9 and the significance of what happens at the end. There's been several sort of narrative turning points in this novel, but one at the events at the end of this chapter are the most significant, okay, and mark a real sort of turn to the last savage, destructive couple of chapters of this book. So you'll know the key events of chapter 9, how this develops your impression of Jack's character and the themes of the novel, the significance of the events at the end of chapter 8 and how this links to Golding's intentions. Okay, sorry, that should be chapter 9. Anyway, so what I'd like you to do is to read the first section of chapter 9 where Simon discovers the body of the pilot, okay? And I know it's really confusing not having page numbers. You could all be looking at different copies. Some of you could be looking at the online copy. So if you've been following the audiobook, you can see the times there. But if you have, the online version or your own version, you're just reading that first section where Simon discovers this body of the pilot. And remember, all of the other boys think that that's the beast. Simon here sees the truth. So then answer these questions. Why is this moment significant? Why do you think it is Simon who Golding has discover the truth about this pilot? And what do you think will happen once the other boys know the truth about the beast? Do you think they'll accept the truth? Do you think that they are mentally at this point where they're going to accept rational explanations for things? So read that opening section, pause this video and answer those questions. Okay, then I'd just like you to read the rest of chapter 9. Okay, so read it to the end. And, you know, this is one of the many bits that I'm really missing, not reading these live with you and seeing your reactions. Because you know, and I know I say this about all the books apparently, but you know this is one of my very favourite books ever to teach. And I always love seeing students' reactions to the events of chapter 9. Okay, so you can let me know what you thought in your emails as well. So read the rest of chapter 9. And here we have some questions, okay? Poor Simon. Hopefully you've paused the video and I'm not giving you a massive spoiler by this point. So poor Simon is savagely and brutally beaten to death, essentially, by the boys in this demented, manic, primal, terrified state. So what type of imagery does Golding use to present Simon when his body is taken out to sea? And think about Simon as this almost Jesus Christ-like character. How does that imagery link into that? And why do you think Golding has done this? What type of leader has Jack become? What could Jack's character symbolise in this chapter? What transgression have the boys committed in this chapter? How can it be linked to their demented behaviour? And what do you think now will happen on the island as a result of Simon's death? We have 3 more chapters now, chapter 10, 11 and 12. What do you think is going to happen next? Okay, so before we do our final feedback, or we might as well do the final feedback and then just look at your booklets. So we have transgression. What further transgressions do you think Jack might be capable of? And then we have our new word, demented. How do you think Simon's death might make the boys become increasingly demented? Okay, so you can answer those questions too. So, what we have here then is 2 pages of your booklet I would like you to fill in. Okay? So you can see there where it's chapter 9 of You to a Death. So number the events in the correct order. Ignore the page numbers. I've had a few of you a little bit confused because the page numbers don't match up. Unfortunately, there's so many different versions of the book. The page numbers aren't going to match up to your copy probably. So again, look at that opening section when Simon finds the body of the pilot. Now you know what happens to Simon later in the chapter. Pick out the clues that appear in this opening, okay, and record them with an explanation. And then here, reread that final section, okay, the final section when Jack gets them all to do that dance just before Simon stumbles in. How does Golding make the boys seem animalistic and extremely violent? So that goes in here. And how does Golding create tension? Goes in here. So what I'd like you to email your class teacher, please, is photos or what you've written for these sections, but also your answer to some of the questions, okay? Now, I've been experimenting over the weekend with this Zoom sort of conference calling technology, mainly because my daughter's dance school have been offering classes via Zoom. And I'm really, really keen to experiment with how we can do at least once a week a live lesson. So I think it'd be really, really lovely for us all to actually see each other's faces and for you guys to be able to say hello to each other. So I'll send in an email sort of how to download the software. I think you can download it on your mobile phone, or you can also download it on a laptop or a tablet or whatever. And you just need to sign up. And then I'm pretty sure I just need to send you a link to a time of when we're going to have that lesson, and you literally just all join it. But that's my aim this week, okay? So we can actually do one of these lessons live, which will be really nice. Okay, so any questions, let me know. Bye.